everybody, welcome back to my great what if here, and this is gonna be a little special video. So I like to, say thanks to having 20 subscribers, and I really didn't think that would get that much. So I'm overall happy, and I am happy as well that you all are loving my what if. Sorry if I'm stuttering or muttering. It's just that I'm kind of nervous since at least 20 people are now watching, and there was a few more viewers. So overall, I'm happy. Well, enough of me mumbling around. Let's get right back into the video. Oh wait, before that starts, I have an announcement. Mirko, her age, instead of being 24, I'm gonna put it to 21. And the ship, I'm not really sure who you guys want me to ship it with. I put that friggin' on a comment down below who you guys want to ship, but no one literally answered. Well, one said they want a multi-ship, but I'm not really sure who I should ship it with. So if you guys want me to ship Deku with Midnight, Mirko, and let's see, Cammy, or anyone else, just comment down below who should I ship it with. And enough about me, the whole attention and everything, and I'm stuttering. Let's get right back into the video. So Izuku, it's been 2 weeks since the entrance exam, and Izuku got a gift from his father. And the gift for passing the whole entrance exam and getting into the only school that Izuku thought it would be more of a challenge, but it wasn't really. So his mom, his dad, he brought him something very special, and they think he's gonna like it. So he buys him a motorcycle. And Izuku, he uses his since he already known how to drive, since he drives different types of vehicles back in the military, so he has authorization, and so, his ID has a whole what's called rank on it. So if he gets pulled over or something, he could just show it, and they would just leave him alone. So he got a motorcycle. Yes, it looks like the motorcycle looks like this, and it has a little bit green tint, but overall it looks like this. So Izuku, he's happy that he actually got finally his own motorcycle instead of having those borrowed vehicles that he wished he had, but he was not allowed to have them. So Izuku tested out, and he tries to imbue his for experience and all, he tried to imbue his fire into the motorcycle, which burns off all the tires and all, and causes a little bit of damage. But Izuku, he wanted to see if, have you guys seen a Ghost Rider? He's trying to do that. But he's unsuccessful, and ends up burning almost all of his motorcycle, until Hisashi came around and just uses what's called the fire extinguisher. And Izuku, he's dumbfounded and asks his dad why is he using a fire extinguisher, since his whole quirk is about manipulating fire. And Izuku, he asks this, and Hisashi, he just looks down, and Inko, she's trying to comfort his what's called husband. And Izuku, he's sad and asks what happened to his quirk, and he says someone took it. Izuku, he's now surprised. An emotion on his face now, he's actually surprised. He says, how? That's not possible, is it? He looks at his mom, and she just looks down. And Izuku, he's infuriated and asks who did it. And Hisashi, he just says that he doesn't know. He was knocked out while he was getting groceries, and a couple hours passed. He was in this dark room, and there was a man with a mask, and just came up to him and just took out his quirk, and just thrown him out. He's actually surprised that they did not kill him, but he is overall happy. He doesn't really care if he lost his quirk or not. He's just happy that he can be back with Inko. Izuku, he's infuriated that someone would do that to his dad. And his dad, he's around like 60 now. And Inko's around like, I'm guessing like around 60 as well. So they're really old. So Izuku, he's mad and vows to take down that guy, whoever stole his quirk, and bring his quirk back. And Hisashi, he tears up a little, but he doesn't really want to show his son since he was a former general and doesn't want to show any emotion. Just like Izuku, but now that he's already been like left the military for a long ass time, he has more emotion now. And Izuku, he sees him like a little bit teary, like has a little tears in his eyes. And Izuku, he wants to get stronger just to take down that person, whoever did that to his father. And he will kill him. So Izuku, he trains for the last 2 weeks, and he tries to concentrate his quirk hard, like long enough for he can make physical objects. So these physical objects are, longer swords, make his temperature higher, and overall trying to increase them as maximum of his quirk can do. And he does this to the point of almost dying. He tried to light himself on fire while trying to control his quirk to see if he can use it like a flamethrower. This burns Izuku really badly, but Izuku doesn't really care and punches through the pain. Not pushes. Pushes through the pain. Sorry. And Izuku, he was able to make what's called the aura around him again. And he uses the heat that's inside his body and covers his fist in it. So he looks like Jax from Mortal Kombat. If anybody has seen it, his hands get all heated up, so it looks like that. And he shoots out a couple fireballs, and he's training outside, like by the beach. So he's training there, and he's shooting a couple fireballs in the water, and he's making a whole like shockwave and everything. And Izuku said, enough. And he puts them together, like this whole Kamehameha move and everything, and he shoots out a huge fireball. And some of the people that was around that area, they were wondering what the hell is happening, and they went down to see Izuku training. And he has Izuku if they can like tone down the flames a little, and Izuku, he says, I apologize and everything, and he continues on training. So Izuku, he has fully now that back then he thought he already fully mastered his quirk. He thought he can do more than just a few fireball attacks, but with his telekinesis he was able to manipulate his fire even more than it was supposed to. Well, that's what he thinks. So at this point, his eyes and everything, they turn brightly red, but his left socket turns up to flames, literal flames. What Endeavor, when he fought against the Nomu, and he got hit in the eye and everything, his whole eye is covered in flames. That's what he looks like. And his right eye, he looks as red. And if you stare long enough, you can see flames conjuring up in his eyes. So overall, he looks like a fucking badass. And he's training and all. And 2 weeks already passed. So he got, his mail and everything. He got accepted and all. So he drives there with his motorcycle and gets to the UA entrance. He walks up and he notices a few of the students, 3rd years or 2 years, are looking at him, thinking he's already an adult, past an adult at this point. He's supposed to be a hero by then. So they think he's just a random hero, but they notice that he's wearing the UA uniform. And the UA uniform, it doesn't really fit him that much, so they can see the muscles and everything. He's buff as fuck. And yeah. Oh, sorry. And he goes and asks a few of the teachers where the 1A is, and yeah. One of them, it was the principal Nezu, and he told Deku where it is, And Deku says thank you, and he continues walking. Once he gets to the door, he can hear screaming and all, and he's thinking, should I even go in there? It's gonna be a pain in the ass, but I have to go there anyways. So Izuku, he opens the door and sees Bakugo yelling at Ida, and Ida says, "Put down your feet, man." Like he's trying to how do I say this? Ida, he's being more scummy than he did in the anime. So Ida is just telling Bakugo to put his foot down, or he'll get massively in trouble. And Bakugo, he doesn't really care, and he says, "Huh, you little rich loser, did you get it stuck up your ass, or were you born with it?" And Bakugo and Ida stop and just looks at Deku. Yeah, and Bakugo, he knows who Deku, who he is now, since Mitsuki already told him that Deku's already back, and Bakugo doesn't know that Izuku went to the military, and once he tells Mitsuki, hey, old hag, he's always wondering where Deku is for he could bully him, but Mitsuki just told him he went away for a vacation or something around the state. So once Mitsuki told Bakugo that Izuku's back, and they shouldn't fight or whatever. But Bakugo, he has this devilish grin, and he freaking cracking his knuckles and all, thinking that he'll beat the shit out of Deku because he left him. So yeah. Once Bakugo sees Deku, he lunges him and try to use the explosion, but Aizawa was behind the freaking desk, and he wraps around, was canceling Bakugo's quirk and wrapping around him in his own scarf. But Izuku, he knows that was the explosion coming after him, but he didn't do nothing. So he just stands there and looks down at Bakugo, who was tied up and was yelling, "Hey, who did this?" And Aizawa, he gets up and says, "I wanted to sleep a little bit more, but you." He looks dead at freaking Bakugo, and Aizawa looks at Izuku and notices that he's wearing an eye patch, and he tells him that if it's something for his quirk or all, he can wear it, but if it's just wearing it for silly games and all, he can just take it off and leave. But Izuku, he doesn't care and just sits down, and he's wearing his military cap and everything, so yeah. Well, that's the only thing he's wearing, his cap and his eye patch. He's just wearing the overall UA uniform and a tie and everything. And Bakugo, he was screwing around trying to get at Deku, but Aizawa tells him if he does that again, he'll get expelled, and possibly even more. And Bakugo, he's murmuring under his breath, but Deku already knows what he wants to say, so he really doesn't give a damn about Bakugo. And Bakugo knows that he doesn't really show no emotion, so Bakugo thought he already broke Izuku. Freaking Deku, I knew I broke you sooner or later. And Deku, he just looks at him with one of his eyes, and it started glowing red. And then Aizawa said, "Alright, that's enough. Alright, let's get this started." And then, out of nowhere, Mirako just came out of nowhere and says, "Sorry, I'm late. I was busy for the freaking bus." And she sees Izuku, and she just a little bit flustered, but she just wants to freaking break Izuku's bones. And she get rid of that freaking flustered feeling and just overall angry, and she wanted to teach Izuku a lesson for what he did to her. And Izuku, he remembers that he kissed Mirako, but he doesn't really show it, show the expression on his face, so he's keeping it mellow. Once Mirako goes on his desk and slams his and slams her hand down on his desk, and she just says, "You little bastard." And Aizawa says, "Just follow me," and tells Mirko to follow him outside, and they talk. And seconds later, Urakan comes in, and she was about to get late, but she just sees two teachers talking outside, and she uses this chance to get inside the classroom. And once she sees Deku, she's happy. She tells Deku that she can't thank you enough and all that. What she said in canon. And Izuku, he doesn't really care, but he let out a little smile. And yeah, they sit down. A minute later, Mirko and Aizawa, they come back, and Mirko's just still grinding her teeth, and just about wants to break Izuku so bad, but she can't. So she's cussing under her breath, and Izuku, he just smiles. Yeah, he just smiles and all. And Aizawa said, "Alright, we won't be able to go to the gallery or whatever it's called. I haven't really much paid attention. So we're going outside and we're going to do a test." Everyone says, "Why?" But Aizawa just says if they don't go outside, he'll just expel everyone in this room. And they all panic. They're just talking back to Aizawa, "You can't do that. Come on." And Aizawa says, "I have every freaking right. And I already expelled the last year, so I can do it again. But it's too much paperwork." But Mirko's here, so she can take care of the paperwork. And Mirko, she just glares at Aizawa, but Aizawa doesn't really pay attention to her and starts the whole test. He tells everyone to get to the lockers and change to their gym uniform, and he does. Deku is the first one to get up and go to the locker, and then slowly and surely everyone follows him. And Izuku, he's in a boys' locker room, the girls and the girls, and Izuku, he takes off his shirt and everything, and everyone just sees a bunch of scars on him and a little bit of bruises and stitching as well. Yes, Kirishima's "Whoa, dude, what happened to you?" And Izuku, he just looks back, and he has no expression on his face, and he just says, "I would kindly ask you to not bring up this discussion." And Kirishima and Denki and everyone else, Ida as well, they just shut up. But Kirishima continues to look at Izuku and sees that he has a freaking manly body. He's at least Muriel level at this time. He's almost past Muriel level. And Manetta's there and everything. He peeps through a little hole, and Jiro was listening through all of it and was about to hit poke Manetta in the eyes. But then Izuku just walks up to Manetta and just grabs his face, and he's slowly crushing it. He tells Manetta, "Why the hell are you looking through the girl's room?" And Manetta's "Dude, come on, man. I just want to see some boobs, man. Come on." And he's making up this excuse and all. Amador is not having it because he has respect for women. And he learned that from a couple of girls, and he was just talking to them, and he wanted to learn more about them. Well, he wasn't really intrigued. He was just asking since he was bored back in the military. So the girls there, they give him lineups and what they're supposed to do, and what happens if there's a pervert. So what they usually do. So Izuku studies this and all, so he's more blunt. He doesn't really care what he says. He just says it. So he Manetta, he's getting his head crushed slowly and painfully. And The rest of the girls was called Jiro just says that there was a peeper, but suddenly something happened to him, and so she's trying to listen up, and she just hears crushing, and she looks through the peephole, what Manetta was using, and just sees Deku's godlike body, and she just overall blushes, and she looks away. And the other girls were wondering what she was looking at, so they all took a turn, and they were blushing and there were some of them were having a little nosebleed, and Uraraka was there. She took a look, and ooh wee, she wanted that, and Izuku, he already got everything ready, so he starts walking up to the 1A gym. Well, what they use for an outside what's called gym. So he goes outside and sees that Aizawa's there, and the girls are not there yet, but most of the boys are there. And then slowly he sees the girls finally coming out, and they all line up. Some of the girls are looking at Izuku, and Izuku, he noticed this and just stares them back, and some of them just look away. And Aizawa, he goes up to Deku and just gives him the ball and says, since you have the highest score in the whole friggin' class and surpasses All Might, you will be throwing this first. And Izuku just says, do I really need to? And Aizawa just says, yeah, or you want to go, friggin' end up being last. So Izuku, he just throws it, just using his telekinesis and his strength. He doesn't really use his fire, so he uses telekinesis and strength, and it goes at least, let me guess, 2 kilometers. And Aizawa, he's at all at this, but he just tells next, and Uraraka goes next, she gets infinity, and so on and so forth, as in canon. And Deku, he gets at least second place because he doesn't really want to show off all of his power. So first place is Todoroki, second place is Izuku, third place is Bakugo, and fourth place is Uraraka, since she got affinity, but she didn't really do good on the other test, and so on and so forth. And Mirko, she just sees that how fit Izuku is and everything, and she wants to get the mind off of what Izuku did and just focus on the rest of the class. And once the whole class is finished and everything, Aizawa told them that if they go last, they'll get expelled, and Manetta was last. But for the kindness of my heart, I'm not gonna expel what's called Manetta, because overall he's another pervy sage. So if you guys get mad at that, just remember pervy sage and another other perverts in the other anime that we love very much. So yeah, no one gets expelled, and they head back to their classes, and Aizawa said they were gonna go to the USJ sooner or later in about a couple of days. So he tells everyone to train and don't slack off. He looks directly at Bakugo, and Bakugo, he just scoffs at this, and everyone leaves. But Deku does not leave. Deku stays for actually a little while, and then he was thinking, he was in his head for a little while, and until he noticed that everyone already left, and he started walking off, until Mirko just stops him, and Mirko just acting tough, saying, you did that on purpose, didn't you? And Izuku doesn't know what she's talking about, but he remembers back to that kiss, and he says in a seductive tone, maybe I did, maybe I did not. Sorry, but my seductive tone is not good. Alright? I don't blame myself for this, because this is really cringy, and yeah. So Mirko, she's taken back by this, and she goes she like slowly goes behind a wall and she gets pinned. So Izuku, he has his knee between her legs and he grabs both of what's called Mirko's arms and pins her. And Mirko, she's like blushing heavily, and Izuku, he just looks at her and says, "Will you accept my apology or not?" And Mirko, she's like, dripping, like friggin', what's it called, like nose dripping out this like moment, like friggin' blood is a little bit coming out, but she tries to use her strength, but Izuku just uses his strength, and it surpasses her, and she's surprised because she's like the number 5 hero and the most physical, second physically fit than All Might. So she's like Izuku leans in and she just like tries to look away, but Izuku whispers some sweet things in her ear, and then Izuku just lets her go and continues to walk away. She's just left there, and she's trying to process everything that's happening, and she just faints right there and then. And Izuku doesn't really like check on her or anything. He just walks out of school and heads to the motorcycle and continues to drive off. So, yeah. And once Izuku heads back home, he just tells his Inko and Hisashi that he's back, and he'll be doing some studying by himself. And yeah. Well, that'll be the end of this video. Sorry if it's I think it's short a little bit, but I'm trying to think of more of a plot. So, yeah. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you all later. Bye.